If you're looking to purchase a fun, affordable bike that encourages you to get out and explore, then I'm going to suggest avoid Bikes Direct. This isn't the company for you. I'm a low information bike rider, definitely not the expert type, and I don't want to spend hours becoming an expert just to buy a casual use bike. I expect the company to put together a solid product and market it honestly. If online shopping wasn't a thing, I would probably just head over to Walmart and buy a bike there, because at least at a brick and mortar store, I can get on the bike and make sure it's a rideable bike. Bikes Direct is my second online bike purchase. My first was from Bikes Online, and as you've seen in my review, I loved that bike. I couldn't get enough of it. When I needed a second affordable bike, I went back to Bikes Online, but all the budget-friendly options were sold out, and the next available models were $200 to $300 more. I wasn't ready to spend that much on a sport I barely understood. Since I had such a great experience with Bikes Online, I figured, why not give Bikes Direct a shot? They're a direct competitor, and they had bikes in the price range I wanted. But what I found was shocking. The components were incredibly outdated. It felt like they had just gone to Asia, bought a truckload of expired inventory, and pieced it all together. So here's my story. Right out of the box, one of the tubes is flat, and the front brake was rubbing so badly against the tire that pedaling was nearly impossible. I emailed Bikes Direct, and they told me these issues weren't covered under the warranty, and then explained how to fix them. One of the things that I should tell you guys is make sure to keep your box and all your packing material if you want to return your bike to them. For me, as a low information biker, I didn't really want to become a bike mechanic, and I quickly realized that it wasn't just the back tire that was flat, both the tubes were flat. So I had to take it to my local bike shop where Mike fixed everything for me. The difference with Bikes Online, I had one flat tire with them too, but they refunded me for it, and everything else on the bike worked perfectly. Okay, so this is my very first ride with this Gravity bike. I was gonna ride it the other day, but after we put it together, the back tire was flat, really flat, and the front brake hub, I think that needed to be trued, so it was warped. So here's my first ride, and the first thing I noticed is the shifting's really rough on this. So it shifts like a bike from 1990. That's strange because both of the bikes, the bike from Bikes Online and this bike from Bikes Direct, were using the same front and back derailleur. The big difference that I could see was the one that I got from Bikes Online, the one that I liked, they internally threaded the derailleur.
Premier also features internal cable routing, a feature usually left for bikes that cost twice as much.
The ones from Bike Direct, the one that's riding like sluggy, it's externally threaded, and then the front derailleur, it threads through the bottom. Another issue that I had with the build from Bikes Direct was it just seemed like there was this lack of thoughtfulness. I bought the smallest frame, but they put the longest stem on the handlebars, stretching the wheelbase by over 3 inches. The bike was way too long for me, and I ended up having to replace the stem with a 32 millimeter one just to make it rideable. That's not all I tried to replace on this, just to make this bike a fun bike to ride. Okay, so I'm out at Camas Lake, and I just want to see how the bike rides with the new tires. see what kind of change that made. The tires were the first thing that really made me start to think that Bikes Direct was really buying just all this dead inventory out of Asia and figuring out how to jerry-rig it together, because the tires are 26-inch tires, and I guess they don't really use 26-inch tires anymore. And you know what that means? Is that, yeah, you can buy 26-inch tires, but they're going to be harder to find and they're going to be more expensive. Much more expensive. Okay, everything's smoother. The bike's a lot lighter. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to drag a train up a hill, but the shifting is still catchy and gets stuck. It's just not as bad as it used to be. So it looks like there is a big change with the tires, but I'm going to replace the two derailleurs. Everything about this bike has been a struggle. Finding parts that fit has taken multiple attempts every time. But the derailleur was the biggest disaster. Remember how I mentioned the odd way they threaded the cable through the bottom of the front derailleur? My bike guy tried everything. I had hoped that by getting a matching front and rear derailleur, the shifting would improve. But the issue wasn't with the derailleurs, it appears it's with the frame. To fix the rough shifting, you need to replace almost everything. The derailleurs, the hubs, the wheels, and even then, it would probably come down to the frame being the problem. It feels like this frame sat in dead inventory for years because it just doesn't work. And to clear it out, they gave it away for free. Bikes Direct likely had a really clever builder jerry-rig something that now we know barely functions. And I got taken on it, but who knows for sure. Either way, this bike isn't worth it. I got taken because I didn't know what I was buying. I thought it could be fixed, but I had no idea bikes had become so specialized that components aren't plug and play anymore. And don't think this is an issue with just Bike Direct low-end models. Now that I know a little bit more, I looked at Bikes Direct's higher-end bikes, and they're doing the same thing, using cheaper components compared to what Bikes Online offers for the same price. Bottom line, if you buy a bike from Bikes Direct and it doesn't feel right, pack it up and send it back. Don't waste your time and money trying to fix it like I did. The money I spent trying to salvage this bike could have gotten me a really nice one for like $1,000. Next time, I'm sticking with Bikes Online. They're much more thoughtful with their builds.